Hi, this is Howard Adler from Rochester, New York, with my wife Dina Adler, and we're here to talk with Kodo, his wife Donna, about Mondo Zen. So, what is this Mondo Zen dialogue process, and how's it beneficial?
Well, so, first of all, I'm Kodo Mike Elser. This is my wife Donna from Portsmouth, New Hampshire. And actually, we know the Adlers because we have sat together in the Mondo Zen, the Integral Mondo Zen together. And they've staffed the Mondo Zen. So what is the Mondo Zen process? Great question. There's a lot of unnecessary suffering in the world. Unnecessary because it doesn't come from the conditions around us, but really from how we handle the conditions around us, how we react to them. And we have this brain that is just so marvelous, so fast, and we have emotions that come up and we react to them in a nanosecond. So fast, in fact, that those emotions really feel like we have no control over them. The emotions control us. Well, with the Mondo Zen process, we can slow that down, that process down, so that we can get at the message underneath the emotions. Through a sitting practice. Nobody has to have a sitting practice that they do right now. We teach the sitting practice, but through a meditational sitting and then koan practice, which is Mondo means the way of dialogue. Mon means dialogue and Do means way. And so the Mondo process is the way of dialogue. So Mondo Zen, the way of dialogue. Zen means meditation, that's all, just meditation mind. So it's kind of a contradiction in that way, a paradox. Sitting meditation is silent, right? No motion, no movement. And then we talk. So we're studying the brain from the inside out. We're studying how I look at what's happening from the inside out. By slowing that process down, we get a chance to look at the message underlying the deep care, underlying fear and anger, and take a much different perspective on it. So it's really a process of we used to call it re-indoctrinating the ego, but some people didn't like it. Indoctrination, so we now call it reorientation. we reorient the ego to see things a little bit differently. We actually look through the delusion of ego, the idea that ego is a thing. So that's what the Mondo process is to me. How about you, Donna?
Well, I think you...
Did I cover it all? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to take it.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you covered it eloquently. And I think one of the things that has been powerful for me is just seeing and beginning to have a different relationship with my own emotions, and then realizing how I am now more aware of when I'm reacting as opposed to responding. And by sitting regularly and having a serious meditation practice, being able to slow down and give myself a little tiny bit of space, so that instead of reacting in my old way and going into a shame loop or getting angry, that I can take that extra breath or that extra moment and then respond to a situation more mindfully and just look at it in a slightly different angle. And that's been very helpful for me personally with just my own interactions with people outside in my normal life, and also has been very beneficial in my relationship with Mike, with Kodo. So that instead of falling into a habitual reaction that puts us in kind of a negative spiral, we and I are able to, realize that it's happening sooner. And we've been married for a long time, and anybody who's in a relationship or been married for a while kind of, I'm sure, can appreciate the loops that as a couple that we get into. And this process and this practice has helped me have a different relationship with that and be able to change it. You know, maybe not as often as I would like, but certainly more often than I used to.
Yeah.
What do you
Yeah.
think?
So, Dina, I'm curious to hear from you.
I think I would jump back a bit in the question and also talk about the retreat specifically, because that's really how I began with the introduction to Mondo Zen. And Howard went a year before, and I think was hoping that I would be part of it. And first, you know, I did have some resistance and, you know, maybe clinging to what are we seeking together, and then did go. And throughout that first weekend, I think that there's like a dual process. So being there with Howard, and though being in silence, we didn't even make eye contact with each other.
I tried.
I didn't think we're supposed to.
You're not.
That it's a chance to, like Donna was saying, work on yourself and understanding, and then sharing this path at the same time with Howard has been very unifying without linking it to another form of religion. So there's the meditation piece, and then there's also the piece that we definitely were able to get more from the retreat, which is being in silence and sitting in a large circle, doing walking meditation together, so that we've been able to take some of those elements and bring it back home. So both in the way that we, you know, try to respond, but include a little bit those parts that make it like a meditative life, except the one where they say, if you open up the fridge, what is that saying?
I don't care. Don't tell me how enlightened you are. Show me your refrigerator.
Yes, we're not that enlightened yet. We don't want to open our refrigerator.
If you want to find out how enlightened you are, go visit your in-laws, right?
Yes. Yeah.
It's just a little dirty.
There is nobody in the world that I want to be crossways with less than Donna. I mean, we've been at it for 45 years or more, and nobody I can get crossways with faster than with Donna.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right? We could be in this wonderful conversation, and in a nanosecond, we're both down in our hole, kind of throwing hand grenades at each other. Now, you know,
Yeah.
I don't know whether you have ever had that experience.
Yes.
And we just don't find that happening anymore.
Mhm.
Because we're getting the message and the emotion. You know, those emotions come generally from a childhood wound, some trauma or something that has been unresolved. That creates shadow, what we call shadow, something I've hidden from myself. Right, I deny it, project it out, and I get angry or I get sad. Well, the interesting thing is that it's not I that gets that way. I feel anger. But I don't need to go into a 4-year-old rage with it.
Oh.
I can get the message from the anger, which is deep caring, right? The energy under the anger, get deep caring, and see what needs to be done, and use the energy now in a skillful and compassionate and intentional way.
It really is an elegant process.
Yeah, it really is. It really is an elegant process, and it's a fun thing to do. We sit in circle. When we meditate, we sit in circle, so nobody gets lonely. Although we do say, this is an interior process. So when we meditate, it's eyes open, don't move. And when we're walking from one place to another, the same is true. Eye contact is a form of communication, and this is an interior process. When in the course of life do we have the opportunity to experience deep silence?
Right.
Just deep silence. It's just a rarity, particularly in our society. I think it's part of a Rumi poem that says there is a way between voice and being where information flows. In disciplined silence, that way opens. In wandering talk and thinking, that closes up. And so that's what this is all about, is taking all those ego contractions and releasing them, just releasing them, but getting the message and the emotion.
Okay. Well, thank you.
That's a short and sweet of it. If you have any questions, I am open to a call. And I know Donna is too, and I know Dina is. I'm going to volunteer you, and so is Howard. They've been on staff. They've seen the IMZ, the Integral Mondo Zen, from the inside and the outside, together and separately.
And I would also just add that I think that while it is also good for couples, I could also see it for friends or, you know, brothers or sisters. Because when you think of all the layers of family in any ways that, you know, I think it truly begins to build that community, and that community can begin in your own family. We're trying to get our kids, but they're still in college, so they have to wait for a
That's
conflict.
right. That's right. Yeah,
They'll come to it when they're ready.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. This is, we talk about growing up, right? Growing up, waking up, and cleaning up so we can show up. And that's growing up. So I act accountably, and I own my emotions. I own my actions. I act in integrity with my actions, and waking up to seeing what needs to be done. They say the definition of enlightenment is seeing things as they really are. Zen master, or the students ask the Zen master, but doesn't everybody see things as they really are? See the world as it really is? See reality as it really is? And Zen master laughed and said, no, most people see the world as they think it is. As they think it is. And he said, well, what's the difference? Well, the difference is the difference between thinking you're lost at sea in a great storm and about to drown, and knowing you're on dry land with not a drop of water in sight. And that's the experience. Experience your true self beyond ego. That's what IMZ is about.
Let's leave it right there.